So let's continue. First, Nancy Pelosi and all of them cheered on for regime change in Venezuela. Let's see what they have to say on socialism.
We are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free. Tonight, we renew our resolve.
You ever notice at these things they like start cheering USA, USA? It's like a like a high testosterone high school football locker room. USA, USA, USA. It's ridiculous. And by the way, in that clip, it didn't show you, but there were a lot of Democrats actually standing and cheering Trump. Railing against the evil socialist army. Evil socialist army. And the threat of socialism, the threat of, more money for the worker bees. Such a threat, these socialists. And by the way, Bernie Sanders, obviously you saw, didn't exactly, stand up saluting that. He did his own response to Trump's State of the Union. And I'm looking right now. What did Bernie Sanders get? 500,000 views. Not too shabby. This man got 500,000 views in less than 24 hours for his response. Let's praise some of his response.
For too long. And let me also just congratulate Stacey Abrams for her very, very effective response to President Trump's State of the Union. Now we, I think, all know why she would have been a wonderful governor of Georgia. I know that this will probably not shock you, but I hate to say this, but not everything Donald Trump said tonight was true or accurate. Tonight, when we talk about the economy, tonight and on numerous occasions since he has taken office, President Trump has told the American people that the U.S. economy is the hottest economy anywhere in the world, that it is really booming. Well, that may be true for the members of his Mar-a-Lago country club, where the price of admission has doubled to $200,000. For those folks who go to Trump's club, and for the wealthiest people in our nation, Trump is right. The economy is really booming. In fact, for many of President Trump's billionaire friends, the truth is they have never, ever had it so good. But for the middle class and for the working families of our country, the truth is that the economy is not so great. Over the last year, for example, real inflation accounted for wages for the average American worker is up by all of 1.2%, just $9.11 a week. In fact, real wages for that same worker, that average American worker, are lower today than they were in 1973. Let me repeat that. The average American worker, after adjusting for inflation, is earning less today than he or she did 46 years ago, despite huge increases in productivity.
So there you have Bernie dropping some facts. But you know what's interesting to me? So, Trump and actually a lot of Democrats, you saw John Tester was up there chanting against socialism, and there were quite a few Democrats chanting against socialism too. And Nancy Pelosi wanted to stand up and chant against socialism. Remember she said, I'm a capitalist. We're capitalists. That's it. What can I tell you? We're capitalists. She infamously said. But recent Gallup poll shows that actually more people in America have a favorable view of socialism than capitalism, and by a lot. 2018, positive view of capitalism, 47%. Positive view of socialism, 57%. That 47% number is kind of comical when you remember Mitt Romney? Well, 47% of people in America, just want free stuff. Or whatever the hell he said. I don't even remember. So Bernie Sanders, this evil threat of the socialist boogeyman. The evil, looming threat of the socialist boogeyman who's going to, come while you're sleeping and take all your money, and he's going to give it to the homeless people if you're wealthy. Well, apparently 57% of Americans are kind of into that. And look at the change. I mean, 2010, it was even, but it's gone down. It's gone up, and then it's gone down 9 points in 2 years. Well, what happened in those 2 years? Bernie Sanders awoke a hell of a lot of people as to what socialism really is, which is kind of just, doing the government representing working people, investing in working people. That's actually what socialism means, democratic socialism. The capitalism has gone down by 9 points. And that's what Trump and that's what a lot of Democrats and Republicans were cheering about yesterday in their jingoistic. So to them, freedom means illegally toppling a democratically elected government in Venezuela and stealing their oil. That's freedom. But to them, tyranny is socialism. What the majority of Americans want. 70% want Medicare for all. 60% free public college. 58% $15 minimum wage. 72% expand Social Security. 57% break up the big banks. 64% legalize weed. 65% jobs guarantee. Not on this list. 81% Green New Deal. Thank you, Shane Batka, $4.99. In the super chat. Do you think the coup in Venezuela is also a way to put stoke of fear into people about socialism? Kind of a Red Scare 2.0. Do I think? Of course it is. They have nothing else. Look at the polls. People want socialism. And by the way, the reason they keep using the word socialism is because it has a negative connotation, but it's not even full socialism, what Bernie Sanders is talking about. He's not saying get rid of, private enterprise, get rid of private companies. No. He's saying the government needs to redistribute the money from the top, which it already has been redistributed. We already live in a socialist country. It's a socialist country for the rich. Who do you think is paying for those tax cuts for Trump's donors and yacht owners? Us. Because they're cutting programs for workers. They're cutting programs for seniors. They're cutting programs for students. They're cutting programs for average people and the most vulnerable so that they could basically give giant tax cuts, deregulation, and subsidies to rich people and companies. So I don't want to hear Trump and these Democrats clapping like John Tester. There were other Democrats clapping too. They believe in socialism just for wealthy donors from Wall Street, Big Pharma, fossil fuels, real estate developers, and Silicon Valley. And this Fox News segment was particularly humorous. Fox News can't believe its own poll on socialism.
There is what seems to be a movement against capitalism in this country. This is a piece in Politico just published, Soak the Rich. Americans say, go for it. In this piece, it talks about how recent polling is showing that the American public is increasingly on board with raising taxes on the rich. As evidence, we pulled up this latest Fox News poll on the issue, whether Americans support raising taxes on the wealthy, on incomes over $10 million. Those that are in favor of that, 70%, Charles. Over $1 million in income, 65%.
The idea of fairness has been promoted in our schools for a long time, and we're starting to see kids who grew up in this notion that fairness above all, and now they're becoming voting age, and they're bringing this ideology with them.
Oh, God. That's so funny. Oh, my God. They're teaching these kids in school about fairness. We really need to talk to these teachers about what they're what are they teaching these kids in school? Fairness? Sorry. I don't really play Fox News that much, but it kind of gives me a chuckle sometimes. So, first of all, they're not teaching fairness in schools. I went to school, I was in college, I don't know, 10 years ago I graduated college. They weren't teaching about socialism or fairness in college. I didn't learn about socialism or fairness in high school or elementary school. You don't learn anything in school. Well, in my case, not much. But no, you know where they're learning about fairness? You know where people are learning about fairness? Or more importantly, corruption and oligarchy and greed and immorality? Frankly, from Bernie Sanders, independent media, if I do say so myself, Fight for 15, Medicare for All activists, Green New Deal activists, water protectors in Standing Rock, activists in Flint, and the real freedom fighters, Black Lives Matter. I mean, the list goes on. But it's so funny because the elite that own our media, all wealthy people, predominantly white, to them, this is not fair. What's so amazing about this is, this hypocrisy, the sheer hypocrisy of the oligarchy railing about socialism. Well, you are supposed to be representing American citizens who elect you into office. So how is it that you're supposed to be representing American citizens, yet all the polls you're ignoring? Because all the polls are telling you American citizens want these quote-unquote socialist policies. They're not even full socialism, these policies. It's just fairness. It's just egalitarian. It's just anti-greed. And by the way, the millionaires will make, and the billionaires will make a lot of money still if these policies go into place. It's not like you're saying, let's get rid of Goldman Sachs, let's get rid of ExxonMobil, let's get rid of, well, I'd like to get rid of, Big Pharma. That's not what Bernie Sanders is even saying. I'm glad Trump is coming up with this socialism argument. It's good for his base, but it's not good for his re-election chances because there's a whole lot more people that are down with the socialism. And if he runs against Bernie Sanders, I would think you might be looking at one of the biggest electoral landslides in American history if it's Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump. Mark my words.